Hello, everyone, and this is a breaking news. Well, I wouldn't really say it's breaking, but in some sense it is. It just reconfirms what myself and my homies from the spacing have been talking about for a long time since everybody started bringing up the prequel trilogy and the hate behind it, trying to make us old time fans or as long established fans be toxic or say that we're toxic or we hate it, all that beautiful, well, I wouldn't say beautiful, but all that fucking narrative that that is shared to counter us when it comes to them defending the Disney trilogy. Yep. So here I am on a lovely Monday afternoon. I wish I could say Sunday afternoon, but I was at a powwow. I took third place in my category, so I made the pay window. So I'm very proud of that. So, with that being said, we're going to take a look at the article that was shared with me when I woke up this morning. And it was early this morning before I even was, retweeted or made, as a follow up article by maybe Screen Rant or whoever else you want to point the finger at. So, I am thankful for the person who shared this with me. I should have jumped on this earlier, but man, I was so friggin' tired. I danced all weekend. I competed as well. I was not going to compete, but I decided to. Brought home some money, bought home some bacon. So there we go. Yeah. And I see everybody coming into the chat. And then I thought, well, should I just do a pre recorded and just have it informational breaking news? Or should I just come here live and we can all discuss this, especially a lot of you who are long time fans or grew up with the PT? I am an OT. I grew up with the OT first. So I am I am the beginning of the franchise type fan, and then I have a lot of you guys that grew up with the PT, um, and that was your first, maybe your first experience with Star Wars. So before we get into this article, and it has to do with Jake Lloyd, of course. If you follow me Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Has to do with Jake Lloyd and what his mom said. She did a huge follow up on the state of Jake Lloyd, her son, and the state of Star Wars and how it affected his life. But it's not as you think it is. It's not the narrative that these fans want to push on as long-term fans, that we hated the PT and it was so hated, and all of that it was not liked, all of that. So I see people coming in. Let's go ahead and say hello before I pull up the article. Jim the Despot, huh? Yep. All quiet on the Western Front. Well, good. Well, I'm glad it's quiet. I just thought I'd come up with this breaking news so you guys can see what's going on. And you will find out that there are people who want to keep this toxic fan narrative running when it comes to the PT to defend their Disney trilogy stuff. That they are spinning this shit right now. I have already encountered a couple of people spinning this shit. And they want us to continue to pay, even though we had nothing to do with what happened with Jake Lloyd. But we'll get into that. So, Assassin, my mod is here. Good afternoon. Mondays, am I right, people? Yes, Mondays. Mondays, man, Mondays can be bitches. But hey, here we are. I feel like I'm vindicated, really. I do. And so I'm over here. I actually do have a cup of coffee. I just took a shower before I came here, so my hair is still wet, not presentable, look like a drowned rat. So I ain't coming on screen, but I do have some coffee because I woke up a little later than I wanted to, but I was friggin' tired. So let's see what's going on. Most Sator chats past the starter and capital words as well. Let me see here. And Dad Man Walking, how are you doing? And another Jim and Dad Man Walking are channel members. Thank you for tuning in. And then the CJH Entertainment. I grew up with the prequels, and I'm also happy that Jake Lloyd got the help he needed. Correct. And this is not to discredit that anything, or not saying that we're not compassionate. We don't have any remorse for the being of Jake Lloyd and what he went through, like mental health issues. That's not what this is about. So people are spinning that too. Oh, well, you talk about this, but then you're not saying, oh, well, I hope he's doing better. It has nothing to do with, sharing. I won't say it doesn't have nothing to do, but one doesn't have to share the compassion in their heart to be sincere when they're talking about something. It's people spitting this thing. It's like, oh, well, you forgot to mention, that so with some compassion that, celebrating Jake Lloyd getting well, no. And then so they spin that to make us look further toxic. So they go and they try to spin and do this mental just gymnastic crap. And it's disgusting. It's just the same bullshit that they do all the damn time. And then I have Dylan Soup. Hey, OG, how are you doing, Dylan Soup? And Soul Assassins saying hello. Yes, follow me on Twitter. You will see some of my discussions on there. And let's see here. Jag is here, another channel member. Bullying before or after? And that's the thing. And I've brought this up before, and we've talked about it on the spacing. But when it came to Ahmad Best, his final conclusion was on the tweet that he left. Everything summed up. Media backlash. And Best has admitted that he couldn't separate the character from himself. And so that's why he took it so hard. People like media in general were the ones that was really tearing down, and George Lucas and the PT, because it's Hollywood driven. Hollywood didn't care much for George because he became independent. He became his own man. He separated himself from that conglomerate place down there, Hollywood. And I don't blame him, although it's like ironic now where Lucasfilm is at now. But George wanted full control of his whole business, his story, all of that. We know that. If you pull open a book like The Cinema of George Lucas or any one of those publications with him discussing his life career, his passion, he will mention time and time again that he always wanted to be in full control. He did not want the Hollywood people to come in and tell him what to do. So that's why that's why you have the media after him. And of course, he, after like so many odd years after the OT, he came out and was like, okay, I'm doing part one of this two-part story, kind of deal. And, he's going to do the prequels. Came out. And, of course, he doesn't follow rules. He follows his own rules. He did some epic, groundbreaking feats within the film industry as well. That's also put salt into the wounds of some of these Hollywood people. But we won't go there. Not right now. It's not what this is about. And so, they come out and they, talk about, and they people like even media is the first one that ever put out the first negative critique about The Phantom Menace. And of course, they criticize the young actor. And internet was not and wasn't as it is now, where it's like people's lives. It's ridiculous how people live on the internet, and they talk about how people treat them and stuff like this as if it's real life. And then they talk behind people's backs as if it's real life. They call people's name. I mean, we all been there. We all witness it, and I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of something. We're humans, right? We have our moments. We do have our fucking moments, right? So back then, media, and I haven't finished saying hello to everybody as you guys are coming in. I have 10 beautiful souls. Share the stream out. And of course, like I said, like I forget, if you are watching right now, let everybody know we're live. If you're catching the replay, say hello in the comments. Share what you think. Leave me a like. Subscribe. Become a member. There we go. Every bit helps. Every bit helps. But media, going back to media and internet and fans during the time, it wasn't as, I guess you could say, it wasn't a huge thing back then as it is now. It wasn't extreme. I've been on the internet like AOL in the native chat rooms and the Star Wars chat rooms. And I wouldn't say that this would be, back then, it would be as nearly as dense or as many people as it is today. So, yeah. So I just wanted to point out all those little things about that backlash and stuff and what Jake has said, or not Jake, but what had Ahmad Best had said and stuff. And these people who are defending, for whatever reason, the DT by using PT, so-called media backlash and all this other stuff. They want to continue this narrative. They still want to have the access to toxic femme narrative stereotypes. So because it makes them feel good to say, "Oh, well, you did this in the past, so you ain't good then, you ain't good now," kind of narrative. And this article I'm going to share, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up now. This article I'm sharing, I'm going to put it larger screen. Nope, not wrong one. There we go. This article here, we'll go up to the top, debunks a lot of their narrative and they don't like it whatsoever. So let me see what you guys are saying here. Yeah. It isn't caused by bullying or caused by mental health, or causes any in mental, or it says also schizophrenia isn't caused by bullying or causes any mental health issues, to be honest. Let me see. Do you think Disney will take advantage of Jake Lloyd and cast him in the future project to get their Hollywood claws back in? I don't know. I don't think Jake would take the offer. That's just me. But I mean, after we're done reading this article, we may come to a different conclusion. But I honestly think that he right now is on his own life path of taking care of himself. I don't think he would want to do it. I believe Sir Christopher Lee said it best. The worst thing a young actor can do is believe their own publicity. There you go. There you go. And Tommy Doyle, hey, how are you doing? Thank you for coming in. Finally caught another stream. Awesome. I'm glad you're here. I still am wondering if Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy blackmailed him with something, especially when his name was listed with the Epstein case. That was curious. Makes me wonder what they did to him. What are you talking about, George Lucas? I heard about that. Okay. But I don't believe it. Hollywood always had a grudge against Lucas for his success and keeping away from them, correct? Probably because he knows that what really goes on in Hollywood, and maybe that's what they blackmailed him with to get Star Wars. Who knows? What's up, United Spacers Alliance? Another channel member, special login from work. Awesome. Glad for you to join. All right. So let's get into this here. So we've covered up, like with Ahmad Best, his conclusion, basically media backlash. Now with Lloyd, he was very young at the time. And I think a lot of you guys will agree with his mom's approach during that time frame, which we're going to get into here. So let's get into this. And I wanted to go through most of the article. So if you guys want to grab anything to drink, if you're kicking back somewhere listening, grab something to drink. Leave your comments as we go along here, and I'll, try my best to cover them, or at least some of them. So basically, this was from, let me see how I got it scanned in, Scripps News, and this was sent to me, like I said, about 9-10 a.m. my time. And I was happy to see this. Wasn't surprised whatsoever. Like I said, we've discussed a lot of this on the spacing. Hashtag the spacing was right. Mother of Star Wars child actor details his mental health struggles. Okay, so there you go. And at one point, when I've discussed the situation with Jake Lloyd and the backlash, I even brought up his mental health issues, and these people would deny it. They would deny, oh no, he blah blah blah. They want so bad to pin it on long-term fans, to point to, oh, you guys are more toxic than us kind of deal. So it's that stereotypical narrative that they are clinging onto, and this breaks it. And like I said, some of them are not really dealing with this very well. Jake Lloyd, who played a young Anakin Skywalker, disappeared from the public's eye after being cast from The Phantom Menace 8 years ago. Well, not really necessary that he did, because when they were saying that, I'll put their image right here. When they were saying that, like, when someone was saying on Twitter, and I debunked them, that like Anakin or none of the PT characters are not characters, but yeah, characters are actors basically. None of the PT actors were ever invited to Star Wars Celebration after, during the 2000 year period or whatever, after, after everything was said and done. And so I debunked it and shared, and Tim had too about, Ewan and Hayden Christensen being at a few celebrations. And then I was looking up and researching more. And I think Jake Lloyd has been to a lot of them, more so than any one other PT actor or actress. I think that Natalie Portman can care less about these things because that's probably not her thing. She was just the star, but she's not into it. So she never showed up. And it's not like they have to be invited, So, but he, like, when looking up, Jake has been to a lot of the conventions for the celebrations. And so that kind of breaks the narrative too, in a sense. Because if he was poorly treated and he was bullied, he was harassed at a very young, tender age at that, where kids are like little sponges and they're absorbing everything around them. I don't think that he would welcome going to a Star Wars celebration. All right, so let's get into this article here. So this was just posted just today, or was it yesterday? What's today's date? Today's 11th, right? I'm like 10th or 11th. Well, anyways, yeah, today. May will mark 25 years since the Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, first lit up the movie screens. Many fans are already celebrating the silver anniversary, so this goes into that. And of course, we know Jake Lloyd was one of the cast. He's the first Anakin, young Anakin, because Vader basically was Anakin, but that's in his persona of Vader, right? So here we go. So here is a young boy here, gamer. Look at that. So basically had in an exclusive interview with Scripps News, his mother, Lisa Lloyd, provided a glimpse into Jake's personal saga in the years since appearing in The Galaxy Far, Far Away, sharing her son's turbulent struggles with mental illness, family tragedy, and reasons she's more hopeful today than she's been in years. So basically, there's a lot of reasons why, Jake kind of just stepped away in a sense. Our fans didn't see or hear much of him other than maybe at the Star Wars convention. It's because not only because, he was going through some health issues, but, family tragedy is another thing. Let me see what you guys are saying. I don't want to keep staying in this article too long. Yeah, you're right. Hello, how are you doing? Darth Ghost face. Now this is pod racing, right? Let me see. I remember reading somewhere that the Portman said she don't want her kids to know about Star Wars. I think I've heard about that, but I've never confirmed that. So thanks for bringing that up. I remember recalling someone saying that to me a while back too. How are you doing? Lovely. All right, so let's get back into this article here. I like I said, I want to cover most of it at least. So she also wanted to set the record straight about her son. Really, what her son really thinks about Star Wars. So this is what this is about. It's setting the record straight. Jake started having some trouble in high school, Lisa said, recalling the time she first noticed her son's personality change. He started talking about realities. He didn't know if he was in this reality or a different reality. I didn't really know exactly what to say to that. So this is like the beginning of her noticing he's having some problems. So, I mean, just imagine being a parent and having to see your child struggle with, mental health issues and stuff, and really having, being scared about, okay, so where do I need to go with this? And how is he going to act towards me, towards the family? How is he going to respond? And what exactly it is. So basically, one day after school, Lisa asked her son if he'd finish his homework. And she goes on to say, and he was like, "Well, I don't even know if I need to do it. I don't know which reality I'm in." And then she adds, and I'm like, "Well, you're in my reality today, so you have to do your homework." So that was a nice little recovery by her mom towards him with that. Lisa took Jake to the doctor, who suggested he might have a bipolar disorder. They treated him different with they tried different medications to treat his symptoms, but she says nothing worked. Jake graduated from high school in 2007 and was looking forward to attending classes that fall at Columbia College in Chicago. His brief enrollment at the private art school didn't go great. He missed a lot of classes, and he was telling me that people were following him, she added. So that must be kind of like, oof. I wouldn't know what to think or do if my kid came to me that way. And I mean, it's like you would want to find all the help you can for them, right? Then you also would think, what happened? What did I do wrong? Kind of deal. Or what's really going on? She could sense a downward spiral. Jake would sometimes mention seeing people with black eyes staring at him on the street and having late night conversations with Daily Show host Jon Stewart through his TV. He didn't tell us he was hearing voices at the time, but he was, Lisa remembers. After a semester and a half, Jake left college in March 2008 to live with Lisa in Indiana. A series of appointments with therapists and psychiatrists eventually led to a diagnosis: paranoid schizophrenia. So that's the beginning of what they discovered here. So, and then she says more to this. I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me get this one real quick. So Gabrielle Knight, a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Hollywood chews up and spits out child actors. Yes, I've had a conversation like many times about child actors and how they end up and how their persona is. Like look at Miley Cyrus and stuff too. Unfortunately, Jake Lloyd is no exception. Even in Portman came out, or Natalie Portman, I'm sorry, came out recently and said kids should avoid it. Yeah, and that's the thing, is no matter how much a parent thinks they're doing right by their child and stuff, you have to consider the dangers of that. Like the kids and even adults, like I said, Ahmad Best couldn't separate his character from himself. Now imagine if that was a kid and someone didn't like his character, that kind of got like highlighted and he's seen it or whatever. How do you think that he would have responded to that, let alone an adult? You know, it's one thing, you can you don't have to like a character in a show. You could like the show, you could like the film, the movie or whatever. But you don't have to like every single character or everything that happens in it, right? Because then what's the point? I mean, there has to be some different nuances in the show, so. But imagine a kid, not being able to discern between himself and the character, let alone the adult who should be able to, But it's okay to critique. You could critique a character for liking it, not liking it, or whatever. And that's the thing. People try to shame people for not liking a character or whatever. And then say, oh, well, you don't like the actor, because they too can't separate them. So Lisa goes on to say, when they finally told him, it totally threw him off into an even worse depression. And she goes on to say it was really hard. So there you go. So we have that here. She goes into the everything about schizophrenia and stuff like that. I'm going to share this article on my Twitter, and I'll share it in the descriptions below so you can read some of it. Like I said, I want to cover it, but I don't want to cover all of it. I want to cover most of it. But she does say he didn't think he needed to take medications because he wasn't sick. So he didn't think he wasn't sick because he wasn't feeling any ailments, physical ailments. And Lisa says he didn't think he needed to go to the therapist because there's nothing wrong with him, because to him that was normal. She continues to Lisa said certain medications eventually lost their effectiveness, or Jake would sometimes quit taking his medications entirely, opting to occasionally self-medicate with illicit drugs. So going from there with illicit drugs. And it goes on to this story here, and I think maybe some of you guys already know that. I have a window open because it's hot in my studio, and I have a bus going by. But anyways, so some of you guys may have seen or know of this. But in 2015, Lisa got a phone call from the Colton County Sheriff's Department in South Carolina. Jake, on solo road trip from Florida to Canada, was under arrest and facing multiple charges after deputies said he led him on a multi-county chase before crashing his car. Lisa hired an attorney to get her son out of lockup, but Jake wasn't responding. She goes on to say, I tried to call him and he wouldn't talk to me, just flat out refused. She said, I was talking to the people at the jail and trying to explain to them that he's off his medication, but they wouldn't give him his medication. Lisa demanded Jake be sent to a hospital, but was told there was no available beds. Jake would end up spending 10 months behind bars for that. And she goes on to say, as a mom, you are just pulling your hair out because your child needs help. You know that he's sick. You know that he's not going to get any better unless he gets some medication. She says, refusing to give up, Lisa kept mailing notes and cards to Jake while he was in jail. When he finally called, she was able to get him into a hospital for treatment before eventually moving him to California, of all places. So basically, here we're going to get into the real nightmare here. So I think it's very important to cover this. Let me see here. See what you guys are saying. I know you guys are yapping. Oh, another one. Let me get that one here. Darth Ghostface says, I have some, and a super chat, $20. Thank you so much. I have some unfortunate news. My uncle, who was massive sci-fi fan, who introduced me to Star Wars 20 plus years ago, died yesterday. I'm so sorry for your loss after his last functioning lung failed due to years of smoking. I will never forget him. I am so sorry to hear that. My condolences to you. And to celebrate him, put on one of his favorite sci-fi shows or read one of his favorite sci-fi books and remember him fondly. Thank you for sharing. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Let's get into this. So the real nightmare. Jake's sister Madison was 2 years his junior. She had also appeared in The Phantom Menace as the extra in the film's finale. Lisa said her daughter always had a knack for encouraging Jake to take better care of himself and to stay on track. In 2018, Madison unpredictably died in her sleep of natural causes. She was 26. So Lisa goes on, he just couldn't handle it. He didn't know how to process it, Lisa said. Sometimes he could just start saying that he really missed Madison. That's about as much of a conversation we'd have about it. At least he was acknowledging it, she adds. And in March 2023, Jake suffered from what his mom calls a full-blown psychotic break. It happened as she was driving home after picking up food at McDonald's. Lisa noticed that Jake was already having a bad day. She goes on with, he said he wanted to turn the car off, and he turned the car off in the middle of the 3 lanes. And we were in the middle lane, Lisa recalled. There was a lot of yelling and screaming. Drivers stuck in traffic jam called 911. The police got there. They asked Jake some questions, Lisa added or said. He was talking to them, but none of it made sense. It was all word salad. Instead of jail, Jake was admitted to the hospital that day. A couple months later, he transferred to a inpatient program at a mental health rehabilitation facility. He is currently about 10 months into an 18-month stay. Lisa hopes it would be a significant turning point for Jake. So there we go. So there's a little history about that. It kind of makes you, it kind of pulls up your heartstring on what went on with him. But by all means, she's going to go into this. It's nothing to do with Star Wars or backlash or anything like that. So let me see what you guys have to say. I do too. I feel bad for him as well. Home Alone, or the Home Alone actor, let me see, I'll highlight this. The Home Alone actor got his life back on track too. Yes. So there's some of them. And Dan Blackroyd is in the house. We are talking about Jake Lloyd. And of course, he's Phantom Menace. And that is his jam. That is Dan Blackroyd's jam there. I'd walk away after starring in perfection like the Phantom Menace. Leave on top. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So this all goes into himself. He's Fandom Menace. The Fandom Menace. The Phantom Menace. He is Fandom Menace. Okay, let's see here. All right. So let's go further into this article. So she says he's doing much better than I expected. He's relating to people better and becoming a little bit more social, which is really nice. It's kind of like having more of the old Jake back, because he has always been incredibly social until he became such a schizophrenic. Let's see here. She goes on to say, like for his birthday, they got a chance to sit down and watch Wonka, and he really loved it, she said, and that one of the things that he that we couldn't do when he was off his medication was watch movies. So she's seen a significant. But now we're going to get into the Star Wars stuff here. As for Star Wars, his mother said, Jake is still a huge fan of the movies and shows. Most recently, he's been watching episodes of the Ahsoka. Now that's the thing. I was like, oh, you're breaking my heart. But I guess he likes the Disney stuff too. Lisa even gave Jake an action figure of the lead actor, Ahsoka Tano, last week as a birthday present. He loves all the new Star Wars stuff, she says. People think Jake hates Star Wars. He loves it. So that's the thing. People, these people who go on the internet and try to use this as a tool and a narrative will say, oh, well, he hates Star Wars because of you guys, because of what you did, you toxic fans, that kind of bullshit. No, because like I said, doing my research about, even Star Wars Celebration and stuff, they have the list of all the actors that show up. And he is one that's always shown up to, to greet the guest or whatever panel he's going to sit on or whatever, just to be there. He's when he could, when he was, when it was capable. But I believe he's the one that showed up more than even Hayden himself to, the Star Wars conventions. Lisa is also eager to dispel what she says is common misconception that an avalanche of negative reaction to the Phantom Menace drove Jake into quitting acting and contributed to his mental illness. So again, she wants to basically, dispel the common misconceptions. And who are the ones that are revealing these common misconceptions? It's those fans that I'm dressing right here, right now, that the Phantom Menace drove Jake to quit acting and contribute to his mental illness, which is not what happened. And I've said that before. I've said that plenty of times when I found out that he was going through some mental health issues, and they just wanted to just not even regard it because they were so fixated on calling me a toxic fan that I'm responsible for everything that happened to Jake Lloyd, right? Same with you guys in the chat. Pretty sure you've heard it all. I'm pretty sure you heard it all. So she goes on to say, it would have happened anyways, meaning his mental illness. Lisa insists, pointing to a history of schizophrenia on his biological father's side of the family. I believe that it was it was genetic, and his psychiatrist also agrees that Jake was going to become schizophrenic. So, like again, she's going with, what the psychiatrists, the specialists are saying about him. She also insisted that in 1999, Jake was largely shielded from the toxic vitriol swirling around the prequel films. So, right now, this is what the author is saying. She didn't say it was toxic vitriol swirling around the prequel films. So, there's a difference. Let's see what she says here. So, again, a little bit of that narrative seeping in here on this article. And I forgot to see who was writing this article, who wrote this article. So, we'll check that out here pretty soon. I predicted him, and this is Lisa. I protected him from the backlash. So see, basically, she says backlash, which that's what it was. Media backlash at that. It wasn't the toxic vitriol swirling around that. So notice the difference between what she says and the article writer says, and let's see who this is. It all goes into like the narrative that they're trying to pull. And this is Clayton Sandel. So that's Clayton basically went down that path where she says she doesn't even say that. Okay. So basically, he was just riding his bike outside, playing with his friends. He didn't know. He didn't care, Lisa said. Everybody makes such a big deal about that. And it's rather annoying to me because Jake was a little kid when that came out. And he didn't really feel all that stuff because I did not let him online. Congratulations, you are a good mom for not allowing your 9-year-old or however old he is at the time to be on the, fledgling internet. For myself, I barely, like, my kids had to be 14 or 16 before they even got a phone. They barely came on the internet when they became young adults. So, yeah. So, congratulations to you, Lisa, for letting him be a kid outside riding his bike, being carefree, having fun with his friends, and not facing, like the media, critiquing George and his character because they didn't like that he was a 9-year-old and Anakin should have been like a teenager or whatever at the time. If you guys know what I'm talking about. Let me see what you guys are saying in here. All right. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see here. Mrs. Lloyd is based. I agree. And how are you doing, Star Wars Marvel purists? Thank you for dropping in and hanging out. Let's see here. Matthew got it says, I only hate Disney. I grew up on Star Wars around the time Dark Horse lost the license. Yeah. Let's see here. Not much Ghostface. Okay, that's you guys. I wish Arnold Schwarzenegger gets to see Jake again. To be honest, that would be wholesome. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's sure. Darth Ghostface. Star Wars fans didn't make Jake Lloyd go insane. I agree. And Soul Assassin says there was the article that came out a few months ago where a film reviewer at the time admitted to lying and following orders to hate the prequels to stay in good company. That's right. I believe that. You know what? We need to find that article. We can bring it up for Cap Chat. Let's bring that up for Cap Chat. Let's debunk all this bullshit narrative. Again, it's all against George Lucas. Like I said in the beginning of the show here, that media tied to Hollywood had a thing out for George Lucas. We all know that. That's the history. Because he dared to step outside of their box, right? He created his own box. He was happy in that box. Darth Ghostface says, no one under 13 should be allowed on the internet. It's not a safe place for kids. To be honest, though, Filoni Clone Wars destroyed the lore happened before Disney. Oh, yeah, that's correct. And that is correct. And, I don't have any disputes with you whatsoever about that. Galderon, hey, what's up? Hope George sees that so he don't blame us anymore. Sees what? What is George blaming us for? I don't get it. I don't get it. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. Now here's little Jake in his little suit. Look at that. That's cute. That is really cute. I love kids when they get to dress up and stuff, because you still see this innocence and and all that, and they look snazzy. I think that's real cute. Okay. Lisa acknowledges that high school kids would sometimes bully Jake, which was something we talked about before, that it was high school bullies, and even Jake has said that. Star Wars, Jake over Star Wars, something he mentioned in past interviews, but she says walking away from Hollywood had more to do with family drama than our drama at home. So see, there we go. She goes on to the family drama stuff here. And she says here, people say he quit because of Star Wars. Well, that's not true. It didn't have anything to do with Star Wars. It had more to do with our family. And we were going through a divorce, Lisa explained. There were unsettled, things were unsettled and kind of rough. And Jake didn't seem to be having a lot of fun auditioning anymore. And there you go. Maybe this wasn't his calling, on top of like family, going through and their own things, adjusting to their own new life path and struggles and all this other stuff, which can have a major impact on a kid, especially if the mom and dad are arguing and sometimes one of them or both of them pit the children against each other, kind of deal. If that ever happened, I'm not saying it, I'm just sharing scenarios. Sometimes that shit does happen. So kids do go through a lot. They handle a lot. They see a lot. As parents, don't realize how much kids see and notice until, all of a sudden it's slapped in our face and we're like, oh shit, kind of deal. Lisa said Jake still likes wearing Star Wars t-shirts and sometimes gets recognized in public. When asked if she sees Jake on one day starring in another Star Wars project, Lisa said it's not something that's in the cards. And I think someone asked that on here or on Twitter or maybe both, that would he return if Disney Star Wars offered? I don't think he would. Not that he doesn't like Star Wars. It's just right now, look at where he's at right now. He needs to take care of himself, and that's just how I see it. Who knows? Jake loved filming Star Wars. He had so much fun, she recalled. I would love for him to get well enough to be able to do a little bit of something, and I'm sure he would maybe like to do that. He couldn't he couldn't at this point, but you never know how much he's going to improve, so we'll see. So we're going to get into more here. Lisa said though, the Lisa said through the challenges, she learned important lessons about remaining calm and having the patience to listen to and understand what Jake is feeling deep down. Exactly what his future holds is uncertain, but today his mother believes it's brighter than it has been in a long time. Let me see, is there any more? Is that it? There we go. Yeah, that's it right there. So basically, she goes on to say that she, basically didn't allow him online. So he didn't get the bullying online that people say. That these people who are using this narrative of toxic fan and pertaining to the PT versus the DT and all this other stuff, she protected him from this. She, as a mom, did a smart thing by not allowing her 9-year-old, or like again, 8 or 9-year-old, to be on the internet, and even a little older than that. That's fine. That's great. Like I said, his mental well-being at the time, she protected, even though that at the time she may not have known that sooner or later he's going to develop a mental illness. Now, when it comes to this thing about fans saying we're toxic, that we harassed and that we bullied and we harassed him online, well, none of anything that was said online through the media backlash affected him. He never really seen it. His mom basically didn't allow him to. So for fans to even consider that today as a narrative to strike back at you, you can refer to this and call out their bullshit. Because we were right. We were right. And so it had nothing to do with, his mental illness or anything like that. Yes, the bullying from school still happened. Kids can be pretty cruel. They can. They can be pretty cruel. So I wanted to share this article with you because of that, to dispel all of this narrative that's been going on. And it goes with Ahmad Best as well. His conclusion was it was the media backlash for him wanting to commit suicide. It was everything that surrounds all of this points to the media backlash, which there are people who are sheeple and follow. And those people who choose to choose to harass and, and be unkind, I guess you can say. I wouldn't really call them fans. It's one thing to critique a character, a story arc, a plot, the whole damn trilogy or whatever. Because critiquing, you go in there with a logical sensibility, I guess you could say, to give your opinion on everything that was presented towards you. And then there's a difference in harassment. You don't have to like a character. You don't have to like all characters. You can still like the show. You can like most of the plot points, but not a certain arc within it. You could be like, oh crap, this could have been done better. That's normal. I even say that with like EU stuff and OT stuff, but when it comes to harassment, I don't think that these people they cease to remain as fans. They really do. But that's just me. That's how I see that. So with this being said, you guys, I just wanted to cover this article to show we were right. The spacing was right. This just confirms it. It's like a bit of vindication here. Vindicated, right? And I just want to see what you guys are saying. Let's see. George was more than Star Wars, and there will never be another George Lucas. Yeah, there will never. There, like, that's with anything. Anything that comes, there's not. It's hard to duplicate that. So I hope Jake Lloyd doesn't end up becoming another sellout that decides to work for Disney Lucasfilm. And that's the thing. Like, okay, so is he going to come back? If he's going to come back, are they going to treat this as like, oh, well, now the fans are treating him better, like how they were doing with Hayden and so on. Let me see. I will always cherish Jake's performance and Ahmad. Yeah. Let's see here. I criticized EU stuff I don't like. Even worse, EU stories are better than Disney Star Wars. There you go. That's the thing right now. That's the sad case right now, right? But you know what? Disney Star Wars isn't true Star Wars. Matthew says, I like Hayden. He seems like a good kid. Liked him in Jumper. Hate he received the hate he received was unwarranted. And that's the thing, is that was very, very minimal hate because as I pointed out, and I know, like, I was gonna say open airlock policy, but Tim has also pointed out to how well he was received during the time that he came out and played the older Anakin and stuff. So I mean, we can always point to, like, if someone says there was hate, we can always point to the fact that there was more love, more acceptance, more admiration, I guess you could say. So Assassin says it's easy to criticize and hate from a computer screen cause. Yeah. What do you call them? Like keyboard warriors or something like that. You're just nothing but a keyboard warrior kind of deal. Yeah. So let's see here. There's one thing I wanted to share with you guys before we close out here. Let me find it. It's on Twitter. Like I said, I was debating on if I just wanted to cover this as a pre-recorded video or just come in and chat with you guys live. And I was like, might as well chat live. Today is a rest and recovery day for me. So I'm not having to worry about rushing off to the gym or anything like that. So here we are. All right, here it is. This is the one. This is the one I wanted to share because it goes into, I don't want to share this whole conversation, but I do want to share something with you guys because I think this goes into the narrative, people who are using this to shame fans because, fans like me are critiquing DT. So then they want to say, oh, you're one of those PT toxic fans I hate and, bullied and harassed and blah, blah, blah kind of deal. They want to keep that narrative because if they don't have it, they don't have anything. If they don't have it, they don't have any damn thing. Let's see here. All right. There we go. So this is what I wanted to share. This is just one example. Let me go ahead. And he blocked me after he left me this message here. So he is one of those comment and blocks kind of thing. Or she or he or whoever this is. Okay. So he compared and he's talking about fans here. He's not talking about media. So he's comparing fans to killers. So he says, and again, your idea of okay is it didn't affect him. You have severe mental issues, drawing a line in the sand there. Someone who shoots a gun at you and misses the internet was still there to do harm. That's what he's saying to me. So basically, not only is he, calling fans, attempted murderers, he's comparing, fans to that. So I went and said, first, comparing attempted murder to Jake's mom, keeping him off the internet because of his age and media backlash is not comparable at the least. I am correct that Jake's mom's wise actions prevented it from harming him. This confirmed in the article. Now, if it was attempted murder, yes, the scenario would affect anyone. You are really comparing fans as killers. And I didn't counterblock him, so I'm hoping he will see this. I will counterblock him pretty soon. So this is the narrative that they still want to keep pushing, is a reason to say that we're as bad as killers because and all this other stuff, and pointing the blame when it's confirmed that Lisa Lloyd's decisions shielded him, helped him from seeing all of this, and helped him stay in his normal childhood life as long as it could. Yeah, pronouns in bio every single time, correct. And then lots of retards on social media. So, and then Matthew got it says, I know some of these people OT purists who really never gave George an inch because the originals were suppressed. The originals were suppressed, but it's his movie. Yeah. That's called pattern recognition. I gotta sneeze. Oh my goodness. I can feel my nose tingling. I hate when that happens. Oh, okay. It's not going to happen. Yeah, so that's what we're dealing here. So this person, people like this still want to push this kind of narrative because it's the only thing they got. They want to make fans pay for something they didn't do. And they'll even, ignore what, the mother is saying to keep their narrative. That's just like the same scenario with them saying George didn't like the EU and anti-George Lucas versus EU stuff. Same type of narrative, same type of mental gymnastic that's going on today. Even now, even though that it's not warranted anymore. Let's see here. The SJW Disney Star Wars fans are unhinged. Let's see here. And every time OG sneezes, a shill gets their wings. Oh my God. Well, I didn't sneeze, so no one got their wings. Yeah. So that's what's going on here. And of course, this person in our conversation, back and forth conversation, he ended up blocking me after he did that. And that's it. So this goes on a lot more. There's a bit more conversation to that. But again, so you're going to see that. Once you start sharing this article out or start talking about that, you're going to still get this backlash because they're still holding on to this narrative, so they're going to start doing their mental gymnastics and all that stuff. And because they still want to be able to spew that bullshit. That's all. So I just wanted to give you guys this bit of information. Oh my god, laugh my ass off. The will do anything to push their bullshit toxic fandom narrative, correct? I agree. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share here today. So if there's anything you guys want to add, please do so. I'll share the let me go ahead and share the link with you guys right now so you guys can have it on you. Keep it on within your arsenal as well, because I'm pretty sure, like, no matter what, like after Ahmad Best had said what he did on Twitter with his with his conclusion about media backlash driving him to suicide, which thankfully nothing happened. um we're still going to have this narrative going, because if these people can't get out of their fucking heads that the conclusion is media backlash with this, the conclusion is that, you know, that the mom shielded her son as rightfully she should for his age against media critiquing, media backlash, all of that, and still confirms that yes, it was, you know, school bullying stuff, but nothing to do with Star Wars in general. And so keep this on hand with you guys. It's still going to be thrown out there in our faces because they want to villainize us. They really want to villainize us, even though we had nothing to do with this. At the time the Phantom Menace came out, I was about 21. So was I, or almost 21? So no, I was 21. But anyways, so I was a young adult during that time. And so I remember everything. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, I was there, so everything I experience is right. No, I'm not saying that. But in in my experience, it was very much positive even after. The only thing that I noticed that wasn't so positive was the media coming out critiquing George and all this stuff, you know. And then after, then I would hear bits and pieces, and I would sit down and talk with people, and then they're like, oh, well, the media said. I'm like, did you watch it? Yeah. Well, what did you think about it? And they would come to a different conclusion because I gave them something to think about it, you know, going from the media says this to what did you think about it, and then finally coming to their own conclusion, you know. So that's my experience. Mostly great when the Phantom Menace came out. So let's see here. Did I share it already? Oh yeah. Yeah, share it. I haven't been on Discord with Melvin, Knights of Melvin, in a long time, so share in there as well. Share it in there as well. Matthew says, I like them all 1 through 6, and that includes the theatrical Phantom Menace and the 1997 edits and 35 millimeter. I've been I come to appreciate a wider view of it. Still like the originals versions, though. Yeah, and that's rightfully so. I mean, that's what sparks you, and maybe you know, so everybody has their starting point, and within that, you know, they might appreciate where they started at first. Like some who were started with the prequel trilogy will like that first more so. I wholly reject Disney Star Wars. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, we're gonna start wrapping this up here, but again, like I said, I wanted to share. Let me take this idiot off the screen. Not me, but the idiot that I'm sharing. um okay, so the Star Wars Marvel purist says, all S tier to me. Tells great, coherent, complete 6 episodes arc, and has one of the greatest trilogy endings ever. Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith ain't too shabby either. So S tier, you mean, what do you mean S tier? Let's see here. I was 9. OG would have been my babysitter. Oh my god. I know, I can't believe I shared my age with you guys. Okay. Disney shills don't care about facts. They only care about slandering real Star Wars fans. Didn't see Phantom Menace till I was 4 or 5. Was a toddler when it released. There you go. Hey, fine additions. We're getting ready to close out, so please rewind and catch the replay and let me know what you think. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Yes, subscribe to Darth Melvin. Go see the Sparrow Files. Awesome stuff. Yes, I highly recommend it. Thank you, Darth Ghostface. And then right here, of course, Star Wars Marvel Purist. Boom. Hopefully we'll see you doing your own video on this. I mean, we all have similar conclusions and stuff, but there might be something you want to add that I didn't add, which is awesome. That's what makes us all uniquely fun and different, is that we have different ways at looking at things. So there might be something I didn't really press upon that is going on with you and you want to share. So, okay. I still don't get it, but above A tier. Or are you talking about that thing that they do for comparable things that they do online? I think that's what you're talking about. Because I'm thinking about Leland's Chi in-house, GCNS type thing. So sorry. Andres Hernandez, Andre. I know I could read that. I'm curious what it was like to live through the time of the prequels coming out. Even though the media hated the prequels merch sold compared to Disney sequel trilogy merch. Yes. It was a good time. I mean, seriously. Okay, so if you still went in to go watch a different movie during the time that one of the prequel trilogy movies was out, man, it was, and they were airing almost the same time. Holy heck. To wait in line to get popcorn and stuff like that, like lines were long. I mean, it's like most of the people were in there to go see George's movies. So it was crazy, crazy times. Yes, thank you so much. All right, so we're going to start winding down. So if you're coming in, please hit the like button and rewind and leave some comments in the chat for me in the comment section here. And those who tuned in from the beginning, thank you so much. If you forgot to press that like button, please go do it now. I know I'm acting a little bossy now, huh? And thank you guys for hanging out with me in this impromptu breaking news type thing, type live stream. I greatly appreciate you all. I know I really had to get my mind in gear because, man, I am tired. Traveled 4 hours to go dance at a powwow, placing third in my category, which not too bad. I wasn't feeling too energetic this whole weekend, so that's not shabby at all. I'm happy I made it in and made some money. And here I am here with you guys today because I thought this would be important to talk about. So, as for the channel, before we conclude, Calf Chat Thursday morning. So come join us. Might have some more interesting things to chat about. And that should be it right now. I decided how I wanted to format my expanded lore for the Legacy of the Force. And I think I found a format that would fit everything that I'll be doing for that series. So stay tuned for that to finally come out. It was so hard, so difficult to decide what did I wanted to share, what type of format did I wanted to present it as, because there's so much behind the scenes stuff that was very fascinating. I know there'll be some series and some books I won't have as much information for behind the scenes versus like Legacy or even Shadows of the Empire. So that took me some time and plus life to happen. So I can't wait to get that out. I'm so excited. Oh my God. So stay tuned for expanded lore, Legacy of the Force, behind the scenes, and creation of the series and stuff like that, and a little bit of history behind it. So I'm excited with a little bit of the lore, little bit of everything. And I had to decide I can't use every single thing. And so I highlighted the ones I'm going to use, and the ones that I'm not going to use, I'll probably make shorts with. So stay tuned for that. So thank you guys again for tuning in. And again, that article is available for you guys, and you guys could probably find it on my Twitter as well. So see you guys Thursday morning for Calf Chat. As I know, nothing's going on, so it'll be a normal scheduled Calf Chat. And then, of course, the spacing is Friday night at 8:05. So be there. So I'll probably be in the chat. And who knows what the subject's going to be for that. It might be a little bit of what we talked about here. We'll see. And then, of course, Casual Rage, another homie of mine, is a Thursday night. I always recommend you guys who come into Calf Chat to go over to his Casual Rage. So thank you again. Thank you again to Soul Assassin for modding and for you guys hanging out here. And as always, don't allow these people who use these narratives are the bullies, are the toxic people, right? So counter them with what you have. Keep all of this on hand and give it back at him. Give it back at him. So till Thursday, you guys have a good day, and I shall chat with you later.
you rebel scum.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Another happy landing.